Things just got worse and worse and worse as the night went on. Again, valiant effort down the stretch for the Bucks. Just too little, too late. Let's go down and let's see what Coach Fletch and the rest of the crew has to say. And as always, go Bulls. So let's head into the locker room right now and see what the guys have to say about that one. Wow. Where do the Buccaneers go from here? What an incredible atmosphere. What a good win for the Tampa Bay Lightning. They snapped the 7-game winning streak. How we feeling, Bucs Nation? It's time to party, baby. What is going on, everybody? Welcome to the Recher podcast. Happy September 30th, 2025. Man, we're about 9 months down. October will be here before you know it. Where the hell did the year go? 2025, I barely knew you. October, November, and December should be pretty freaking wild here down the stretch. I love you all. Thank you so much for joining us, as always, on the program. I always want to hear from you. Questions, comments, concerns, leave them there at the bottom of the screen. And you can always join in on the conversation. Here is the link. Join us, and we'll talk about whatever you want to talk about. Here's the link right there, StreamYard.com/4CI39UGWCK. Just click on the link in the chat, whether you're on the laptop, whether you're on your phone. You can join in on the conversation. We'll talk about whatever you want to talk about on the program. Follow me on all social media platforms at JRecher, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, TikTok, Instagram. I am everywhere. Like and subscribe on YouTube. We got to get those subscriptions up as high as humanly possible. And we want to thank our partners, Honest Hammer Custom Builders, LLC, 813-244-0956. I was looking at one of the stories that I put out today. My guy Russ at Honest Hammer just talking about how to treat people and how to talk to people. That I couldn't have said it better myself. We love Russ and the family over there, and they've been with us, for a long time. Our first partner, and I'll always, hold them near and dear. And now EverHealth, our second partner, joining us. And I was over there today at their High Point campus. There's 17 locations for EverHealth. My God, it was insane. And we will talk about a little bit more around 1 o'clock today about EverHealth. We've been looking at the website the last couple of times. We will have our EverHealth injury report every Thursday at 12:30. Dr. Rodriguez, I saw him today, got to meet him in person for the first time. Man, we're going to talk about that Tyreek Hill injury. Ugh, looks familiar, doesn't it? Same thing that happened to Chris Godwin. And your heart goes out to Tyreek Hill. And we know what that entails when it comes to the recovery. But there's also something that the doctors need to really focus on so he doesn't lose his leg. If you don't focus on this one thing, you can get that leg amputated. And that happened to a local kid here in the Tampa Bay area. So we'll talk about that on Thursday with the doc. And yeah, joining in on the conversation is big, and also the super chats. We've seen that over the last couple of months, and it's really grown so much. If you can donate in any form or fashion, $1, $2, $5, $10, $20, whatever you can do to help the program, please, with the super chat. I can't thank you guys enough for all the love and the support on the program. We're going to talk a ton about NFL, NHL, MLB playoff start today as well. We'll have a couple of big-time guests at 12:30 today. Our good friend Diandra Loux from the Hockey News is going to join us on the program. Lightning in action tonight against Florida Panthers out there in Orlando. Some good news there. Andrei Vasilevskiy on the ice. Not with the game group, but he was on the ice right before the game group went on there. So to see 88 out there, next step in the progress and the process for him to be able to be ready for opening night next Thursday at the bench of the Benchmark International Arena. It's still going to be tough to not say Amalie Arena, but it looks like all signs are pointing to the big cat, Andrei Vasilevskiy, being ready to go. Still no Victor Hedman, but I would think that he'll be ready for Thursday night. Pontus Holmberg was out there as well, a guy that's missed some time, and he's a guy that the Lightning are going to be counting on for the penalty kill and for being a bottom six forward that's tough to play against. That's something that the Tampa Bay Lightning were focused on, being tough to play against. That was kind of their calling card when they won back-to-back Stanley Cups. And when they went to 3 straight finals, they got to do that once again. You got the scoring prowess, you have the defenseman, you got the goaltending. You need more guys that are tough to play against, and he kind of fits that mold as well. Also, top 5 teams in the NFL, bottom 5 teams in the NFL. I just mentioned MLB playoffs. We're going to go through all the rounds, or not all through the rounds, but all the first round matchups here, wild card matchups, and I'll give you who I think is going to win. Tom Krasniqi joins us at 1 o'clock today, WDAE. We're going to chat with him about all things Tampa Bay sports, Bucks, Rays, Bolts, and who he thinks is going to win the World Series as well. Plenty to get into today. Again, follow me on all social media platforms at Recher. Let's get to some of your comments in here. Come on in. Let's talk to you. Benny, happy MLB postseason, all you Jaybirds. Ryan B. in the house as well. David Terry, it's MRI Tuesday. How many more injuries can we sustain? You got that right, buddy. Adam Cartwright, good afternoon, everyone. MRI Tuesday from Lady Evil. They should just rest Bucky either way. We need him long term. Let's rock with Sean Tucker and Rashad. I agree with that. Hello, Jay and everyone. I can't unsee Tyreek Hill injury. I know, man. Janet Best, happy Tuesday. Go Reds. That's the best I can come up with. Carlos Baserva saying the same thing. Let's go Reds. Bucks basement in the house. These next 3 games are tough. Seahawks, West Coast games are always tough. 49ers, Shanahan is on bowls no matter who is the quarterback. And Lions, they seem to have woken up after a bad week 1. Bart Hill, what's up, Jay Bird? That is how we roll. I don't dispute that whatsoever. It's going to be a tough one for this Tampa Bay Buccaneers team. And listen, with that being said, I saw a stat today from our good pal Evan Klosky about how good the Bucs have been through the first 4 games during his tenure with Tampa Bay, but how poor they've been in the next 4. You need to improve on some of the things that you haven't done well. And yes, the special teams has been terrible. Can they improve on it? You sure as hell hope so. They're going to need to, because when it comes down to the fine margins and when it comes down to the little things, that's what good teams do. You don't get burned by special teams. So Todd Bowles is going to have to address that. I think they have to make some changes, obviously, in their coverage and the field goals. Well, not in the field goal, but yeah, I mean, field goal as far as they protect Chase McLaughlin back to the Chase McLaughlin we all know and love with the 65-yarder, and then getting field goals now in the mid to late 50s. Like that's the least of my concerns. But getting punts blocked, getting field goals blocked, like, you got to block that up a little bit more. And their special teams coach, Thomas McGahee, like, he was terrible with the Giants. I remember that. You remember a couple of years ago, opening night against the Cowboys, Daniel Jones carries them all the way downfield. They go to kick a field goal, gets blocked. Cowboys take it all the way down the field for a touchdown. And that was it. And they got smoked the rest of the game and just kind of set that season ablaze in week 1. How does that happen? Like, how do you, when you're so egregiously bad, why do teams look at it and be, oh, yeah, we're going to give that guy another? There's nobody else out there. And then he comes here, and you can't be surprised. Riley Dixon is another guy he's probably one of the guys that takes forever to punt. Man, I just, I look at it, and Chris Cole, you're spot on. The punt returns are good. Yeah, I thought Cam Johnson's done a hell of a job. But, man, it's crazy how these other aspects, these guys are getting different chances. You got to hold these guys to a higher standard. This team has not just Super Bowl aspirations, well, not just long postseason and playoff run aspirations, but, Super Bowl aspirations. You can't win. You can't even make it till you get to, the spot where that's a strength. Seattle's beatable. I'm not scared. Bucks better get a fast start, though. I don't know, buddy. My guy Dolan, I do not know whatsoever. All right, let's get to it. Bottom five teams in the league, top 5 teams in the league. All right. Bottom 5 teams in the league, bottom 5 teams in the NFL. Let's start with the 5th worst team in the National Football League, and I'm going to go with the Carolina Panthers. They said it after the loss to the New England Patriots up there in Massachusetts. It's not just on one person. Yeah, you got that right. That did not look like a team that is anywhere close to competing for a playoff spot or a division crown. They just look so overmatched for a team that is, listen, it's year 2 under Dave Canales. I just think it was atrocious. Atrocious. That was such an ugly loss. 42-13 to the Patriots. I mean, my God. That's a team with a second-year quarterback in Drake May and Teddy Bruschi with his first year. The Pats now 2-2. Their special team's bad. Marcus Jones with an 87-yard punt return TD. Bryce Young, I don't know what to say about Bryce Young. I don't. At times you look at him and they jumped out to a 6-0 lead and then just went precipitously downhill. They didn't score again until the fourth quarter. I don't know. Is he the right guy? And that touchdown in the fourth was late. Andy Dalton was the guy that ended up with the pass. Dave Canales, an optimist bully. He seems like a great guy, but I just don't know if that organization is set up for success at all. I don't know if it matters who the coach is. Does it matter who the quarterback is? Man, you could say a lot of things about the Buccaneers and what doesn't work, but I watch this and I'm not scared by anybody else in the division because they're so up and down. There's so many warts to these teams' games, to these teams, just what they're all about. I'm not worried at all when it comes to their spot in the division. Fourth worst team in the National Football League, the Miami Dolphins. I know they beat the Jets. More on them in a second. So what? You beat the Jets. Now Tyreek is out. Okay, you got Tua, you got Jalen Waddle. But even then, it stinks there. The vibes when it comes to the Dolphins. You can't be positive. You can't be optimistic if you're a fan of the Fins. You just can't. You watched the game last night. It's not pretty. That's what they battled against the Buffalo Bills. But just think about it. From now to 2 years ago, are you closer to winning a Super Bowl now than you were 2 years ago, or are you farther away? I don't think any Dolphins fans can look at you with a straight face and say, oh, yeah, we're getting better. We're improving. Yeah, we're almost at the spot where we're a team to be reckoned with in the division and the conference. Remember a couple of years ago, Tua was a shortlist MVP candidate. Now people are wondering, is he a guy that needs to change? Is Mike McDaniel going to be hanging around? Like, things change quick in the National Football League, and the longer this goes on, I don't know. I don't know what to make of the Dolphins. The New Orleans Saints come in at number 3, 0-4. No juice at all with this team. They look old. They're just so uninteresting. Cam Jordan out there and Alvin Kamara, they got a lot of old names. They draft so poorly. I don't watch them and think, wow, they're going to get better, or they're just muddled in mediocrity. They're 0-4. They're going to win enough games to take them out of the hunt. This screams to me of like a 4-13 team, a team that's going to pick like 8th or 9th or 10th or 11th. They're not bad enough. I think they're one of the 3 worst teams. They're going to stumble on something. Maybe the 5th or 6th pick. They're not as bad as these next 2 teams. They're probably not going to get a whole lot better, but I don't know if they're going to get a whole lot worse. This is kind of where they're at. They'll probably win a couple of games. Don't be surprised if they make a move. I watched the Saints team with Kellen Moore and Spencer Rattler. They're definitely going to be in the market for a quarterback next year. No doubt about it. And I know when you look at teams that are bad and teams that are good, when we're talking about divisional matchup, that kind of shit doesn't matter. Throw the records out. It happens every year. It doesn't matter if a team's 4-0 or 0-4 in any sport. That's the beauty of sports. You can say a team is really good. You could say a team is really bad. You get a divisional matchup, and sometimes you see a team that's the 0-4 team, and they have a great day. They have a great day. They're able to put it all together. But over the course of 17 games, do you trust him? I don't think so either. Adam Cartwright, with the injuries across the league, should the league take a look at the field services? Seems like the turf monster is getting to many. We've been hearing this about Giant Stadium, MetLife Stadium, whatever, for years. Now you saw it with Joe Alt. You saw it with Malik Neighbors. Yeah, why not? Again, the NFL, all the decisions that they make, the only thing that matters to them is money. And the players are dispensable. They're not indispensable. All these people that talk about, they'll do whatever it takes to, defend or keep a guy like Patrick Mahomes happy, or it doesn't matter. That kind of stuff doesn't matter, guys. The league will never survive. Yeah, it will. You know why? Because there's always going to be more players. We talk about, the next man up mentality. It's like that with the league, too. It's like that with the league. Who's the quarterback for the Patriots? Who's the quarterback for the Colts? It's not Tom Brady and Peyton Manning, right? The league still survived. Patrick Mahomes and Lamar Jackson and Josh Allen. Like, there's always going to be another quarterback. So to be worried about this and that, how are they ever? They're going to survive. They're going to survive. The NFL is king. But I'm with you. This turf stuff is wild, and they have to. Something's got to give. Two straight two straight games against teams with 10 days off because, I know that's rough. That is rough. A mass unit O-line for the Bucs. Yeah, it's just going to be something that they're going to have to figure out. The Dolphins uniforms last night was god-awful. I didn't really hate them. And again, I'm never one of those people that I don't get bent out of shape about uniforms. Like the Cardinals, like last week or last Thursday, it looked like somebody left a red sock in the whites, and there was like the tinge of cream colored. It was just weird to me, but I don't get bent out of shape. Whatever, do your thing. If people are talking about it, maybe people buy it. We don't know. I hope that Bad Bunny doesn't cost the NFL and NBC Peacock too much money in lost viewers at halftime. If you guys did not see what I had to say about Bad Bunny being the guy, I want you guys to pay attention to something real quick. All right, check this out. So this is what I had to say. Bad Bunny. We'll get back to my bottom five here. Actually, let's finish the bottom five, and then we'll get to the Bad Bunny thing before I give you the top five. Second worst team is the Jets. Bad football all the way around. It's funny. They got rid of their punt returner in week 1 for fumbling. He was out. Then last night, 1-score game, kickoff to start the second half. He fumbles. He also calls for a fair catch at the 2-yard line. Are you just firing him? Are you getting rid of him too? Aaron Glenn says they're not the same old Jets. And, I thought the heart that they displayed against the Buccaneers was something that they should be able to carry over, but they did not. They did not. It was ugly. It was not good. It was terrible, man. Terrible last night. And it's just an undisciplined football team. There has to be a modicum of patience. It takes time, man. You got to be able to get the guys that aren't on board. You have to get him out. You have to get them out, excuse me. It's not just going to happen in 1 year. When you look at the situation with the Jets, and that's what's tiring when you watch New York media. Like, I grew up there, but whether it's Joe Beningo, who was a guy that was with, WFAN, and he's with our buddy Jake Asman and all these different podcasts and shows, and then you see Don LaGreca on ESPN New York, and he's yelling and talking about the Mets. It's like, my God, man, New York is it's the number one media market in the world, but guys are just yelling and screaming all the time. This guy sucks, and blah, blah, blah. Like, that shit is fucking exhausting, man. I can't watch that shit. You guys get mad. It's one thing to be passionate, but it's just so contrived and so disingenuous. It's just like, let's yell and let's try to make a viral clip. Like, that shit is annoying as hell. I don't want to hear what any of y'all have to say. Number 1, the worst team is the Tennessee Titans. Look at just listen to Cam Ward. That team's bad. As much as the Jets are ugly, like there is some redeeming qualities with Garrett Wilson and maybe a Sauce Gardner and Breece Hall and Quinnen Williams. Like, there's a little bit of positivity. The Titans are just bad. Cam Ward's going to get killed back there. It's got flashes of David Carr. I mean, they got to protect that kid. And the coach, Callahan, he's terrible. He wants to talk. I mean, this is your, second year, and they don't look any better. No siree. Embarrassing, dude. Embarrassing. Mets collapse was epic. You got that right, buddy. That was crazy. That was crazy. All right. This was my opinion on this guy. Bad Bunny. If you missed it yesterday, here's what I had to say about San Benito. San Benito. Here we go. A lot of people complain. It is what it is. But here's what I had to say about the San Benito halftime show. Bad Bunny has been selected for the Super Bowl halftime show. And mamma mia, people are going to lose their mind with this one. You thought Kendrick Lamar pissed people off? Just wait until you tune into the halftime show. The score will probably be something like 25-8. And your aunt may ask you what Mr. Bunny was saying because 99% of it will be in Spanish. It might be difficult for a lot of people to understand what's going on. It may offend some. Me, I love Bad Bunny. Dude is in fuego. Do I know what he's saying most of the time? No, but I love the energy. I love the beats. I love the vibe. I was getting down to his special last week, dancing alone in my house. It felt like another night in Miami. He was hilarious on Saturday Night Live a couple of months ago. And you know, he's my guy because he loves WWE and he has crushed it every single time he's been in the ring. A future WWE Hall of Famer, just like my guy, Booker T. If you're thinking the halftime show is just for football fans, you are sadly mistaken. These halftime shows are for the masses, the people that tune in just for this game, and for those who may just tune in to see this performance. To some, it may be controversial. It may drive some to drink a Moscow Mule, perhaps. But from now until the big game and then weeks after, Bad Bunny performing at the Super Bowl will be all the rage and a top topic of conversation. The NFL will get its desired effect and will no doubt be thinking, we're good. There you go. Don't be surprised when things like this happen. It always comes down to money. Always comes down to money. All right, my top 5 teams in the NFL. We'll get to those before we talk some baseball as the MLB playoffs start today. Number 5, the Seahawks. Great defense. Solid kind of format of what they're trying to do, taking the pressure off of Sam Darnold. I mentioned this last week of their mindset of running the football, using Charbonnet, using Kenny Walker, play action. What really worked for Sammy D in Minnesota with Kevin O'Connell, they're doing there in Seattle. And I just look at the defense led by Leonard Williams up front, and they have such a strong secondary with Tariq Woolen and Witherspoon and Kobe Bryant, all those. I really like this team, and I think it's going to be awfully tough for the Buccaneers to win this game. I wouldn't be surprised if the Bucs lose and fall to 3-2. I'll give you my official opinion and my prediction on Friday right here on the program. But, man, I've been impressed with Seattle so far after that first week loss to the San Francisco 49ers. They really righted the ship, and now they're sitting at 3-1. They could be 4-1 after this game against the Buccaneers on Sunday. Number 4, the Lions. 2 teams I thought that would struggle. Maybe not. I mean, Alabama and the Lions were the team that I kind of stuck my neck out. I was like, I think Alabama's going to come back to the pack with Kalen DeBoer. It looks like they figured it out. And the Lions, too. I thought they were going to make the playoffs, but I thought it was going to be one of those things where they were going to struggle because they changed the coordinators, just like we saw a couple of years ago with the Philadelphia Eagles. They look impressive, man. They look impressive. They look a lot more composed than what we saw from the Eagles when they lost Jonathan Gannon and Shane Steichen. This could be their year. This could be their year. There's a certain level of nastiness and FU that they have. I really like them. Number 3, the Rams. They probably are the most well-coached team in the league. You just watch Sean McVay and the way that they put their offensive players in a position to succeed. Defensively, just get better and better. They're so opportunistic when they make their big plays. Number 2, the Bills. There's just a nastiness, a look about them. Like, hey, this is our time. This is our time to take that next step. And even though Kansas City got into a situation where they were able to beat Baltimore and they look like the Kansas City of old a little bit, I think I would say the Buffalo Bills. These are the kind of years where you want home field advantage. With Buffalo 4-0, I think they understand how important that is. Get out in front, keep driving, keep doing your thing. Get that number 1 seed and control your own destiny. Number 1 is the Eagles until somebody knocks them off. I don't have the Buccaneers in my top 5. They're not there. They're not there yet. And when you look at a situation for the Buccaneers, they're not in my top 5. They're just, I don't think that as much as I am impressed with how they've been able to battle, impressed with how they've been able to make the most of what they have with all these injuries, you call a spade a spade. Special teams doesn't look great. They don't have Mike Evans right now. And do you have full faith that with the way that they're playing, like they can't play, you cannot play like you did the first 3 weeks and be able to beat teams like the Eagles. And I think they're not at the level of the Eagles, but I look at Seattle as a team where if you take them lightly or you don't put your best foot forward, you're going to be in trouble. Nick Bowen, Jay, should the Buccaneers look to bring in an ILB? Levante and Servassier have struggled mightily. I think that's the only position where we don't have the players in-house to fix it internally. I don't think that's going to happen because they do have Deion Jones as well, and they still have full faith in Servassier Dennis. He's not a guy that – it's ironic because everybody said, well, he's great in coverage. He's great in coverage. Well, he's really not. He's better at helping and assisting with the run more than anything else, and they need a guy that's a little bit more of a cover dude. So I don't think they will unless there's more of an injury, but they've seemingly been comfortable with that, but it just hasn't worked it out. 2 division matchups when it comes to the wild card round for baseball as the playoffs start today in about a half hour. Game 1 underway, and ESPN. It's pretty cool. ESPN, ABC, ESPN, and ESPN at 1 o'clock. The Cleveland Guardians and Detroit Tigers, an AL Central matchup. Wow. What a turnaround for the Guardians as they were so many games back. What was it, 15 and a half? And they went on an absolute tear and started right here in Tampa over the Rays. The Guardians and the Tigers. I cannot wait for this game. I love to see what has happened with Cleveland. Tarik Skubal on the mound, the ace for the Tigres against Gavin Williams, the right-hander. It's really cool, man. This is what it means. Baseball, you put a situation where there's a familiarity, right? And there's such a contempt between these two teams, and the way that Cleveland is able to come back. They win the division by 1 game. You tip your hat. Good baseball. Love postseason baseball. And I like postseason baseball during the day. I love it. 3 o'clock start, San Diego in Chicago to take on the Cubs. Wow. Do the Cubs, this could go a long way. What happens to Kyle Tucker? Could this be his last couple of games there in the Windy City before he goes into free agency? We'll find out. San Diego needs to win this series. They're built to try to beat the Dodgers. We'll see how that goes. 6 o'clock, the Yankees and the Red Sox. One of the biggest rivalries in all of sports. Sign me up for that one. What a big matchup. Max Fried, Garrett Crochet, 2 of the best left-handed pitchers in baseball. That is what you watch sports for, is to see those 2 teams go at it. We know how those fan bases feel about each other. The Boogie Down Bronx at 6 o'clock tonight. I cannot wait. And then at 9 o'clock tonight, the Cincinnati Reds and the Los Angeles Dodgers. Cincinnati, a team that I saw a stat yesterday where they don't have one 15-game winner. They don't have anybody with 20 or 30 home runs. You want to talk about a team that it's a sum of their parts. That's exactly what the Reds are all about. They don't have and they have Ellie De La Cruz, and I get that. But when you just watch their roster, top to bottom, whether it's their players on offense, whether it's their pitchers, everybody contributes. Now, it's the polar opposite when you look at the LA Dodgers, when you have all these different high-profile guys that came through a trade or free agency, and Glasnow and Snell and Shohei Ohtani and all these different players. There's just so many different guys. This truly is a David versus Goliath type thing. Does a team like the LA Dodgers, who spend all this money, and for a lot of people, it was the Dodgers versus the field. Is it going to be them, or is it going to be somebody else? Well, we're going to find out, and it starts tonight. Shout out to my guy, Yusuf. Hater Moda in the house. Beautiful. Thanks, buddy, for chiming in. We love you. We hope you are well. So I love the MLB playoffs. I think it's going to be so freaking awesome to see which of these teams is going to rise to the occasion. So as much as you think you have a beat on, well, this team can do this, or this is a team that plays really well on the road, or this bullpen. Because remember a couple of years ago, and there's so many coaching changes already. Rocco Baldelli is out in Minnesota. A couple of the older managers are out, whether it's Bob Melvin in San Francisco, whether it's a guy like Bruce Bochy in Texas. It's musical chairs now. But you may think, all right, this team doesn't have a bullpen like we saw in Texas a couple years ago. What happens? The bullpen was lights out in October in the postseason, started at Tropicana Field, and they rode that hot bullpen all the way to a World Series championship. So the narrative may be one thing for 162 games, but then when you get into the postseason, it's a completely different ball game, literally and figuratively. All right, let's keep the conversation going. Let's bring it in with our good friend Diandra Loux from the Hockey News. Hello, my friend. How are you?
Hello, Jay. I'm good. How are you?
I'm great. Did you go to morning skate today? Yes, you did.
Yes, I did. I had to get the answer on if Vasi was going to be skating or not today. Obviously, that's been the number one topic of conversation since the second day of training camp. So, yep, I went, and I know you guys already saw, obviously, on my Twitter, but Vasi did skate. So that is a really good sign. Like, if there's anything that we've learned from covering this team, like if he's skating, that's a good thing.
So what did you feel like? What's the overall? Because sometimes you know how it is. Like you have the conversation about Vasi, and sometimes it's lip service, and it's like, oh yeah, but what was the feel for? Let's just stick with Andrei Vasilevsky. What was the feel of? Oh, okay. Is it just one of those things where it's still apprehensive, type of we got to really take it easy, or is this one of those things where it's hey, it's a step in the right direction, and he looks like he'll be ready to go for opening night next Thursday?
It's so hard, Jay, as you know,
Right.
like Coop, it's after, what happened a couple seasons ago with Vasi and the back surgery. To start out, it was giving that, and maybe it's just because we went through it a couple years ago, and you always go to worst case scenario. But when he wasn't out there, that's kind of obviously where things went. And then, you always, you listen to what Coop says, and then you look back and you pick apart the words to try and figure out, like, is this a serious injury or not? And it's so hard to say, what it could be. Something like he tweaked something and they just wanted to be super cautious with Vasi. Obviously they're going to be super cautious with Vasi, and Vasi knows his body. We know, we've heard him talk about it so many times. Like he's going to listen to his body. It's hard to say, honestly, today when he was out there, I think I was talking to Adam, like he looks a little uncomfortable, but that could also be just because we haven't seen him,
Right.
So it is impossible to say. I will say, like, the vibe in the locker room is really good. Like I don't sense anything major. And I do think that if it was something that was major, I don't think we would see him out on the ice, especially not in front of people. So
What about Victor Hedman? I know he wasn't on the ice today, but I saw him kind of lurking around, hanging there on the bench. Do you anticipate he'll be out, or do you think he'll be out there in a good way on the ice for the Lightning next Thursday?
Yeah, I definitely think, Hetty was in the building. There's no reason to push Hetty, I think, and they're just going to be really cautious with him as well. But I don't think it will affect the home opener at all. I think we'll see him out there. It's hard because I didn't notice anything that happened. I don't know if you did. Nothing significant stood out. So maybe he just felt something and they figured it was safer to just let him do his thing for the rest of a preseason, especially against the Panthers, because even in the preseason games, we've seen it get really nasty in those games. It's not worth putting Hetty out there.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Because those games, you're right. It doesn't matter if they're playing in the postseason, the preseason. Like these guys do not. There's no love lost between the Lightning and the Panthers, is there?
No, it's going to get. I'm sure it'll get nasty. And the Panthers aren't playing any of their NHL guys tonight, but you got to think, like, there's some holes there, and these guys are, trying to compete to get on their roster as well. So they're going to be playing a role of, trying to fit the Panthers culture that they've built there. So I'm sure we're going to see it get nasty. And like I said, I wouldn't worry about Hetty. Holmberg was actually out there as well. He was in a red no contact jersey. But they said not to worry about that he would be ready to go for home opener as well. So I think Vasi really is the main concern. And like I said, the fact that he was on the ice today, that's a sign in the right direction. Like when he had his back thing, I mean, there was no sight of Vasi anywhere. Mm-hmm. So I think this is a good sign for sure.
Yeah. And again, when you look at the rosters tonight, there's a lot of guys that are kind of on the bubble. So these guys are trying to prove something, right, Diandra? And if they try to prove something, sometimes that leads to a more physical game. And again, you add that, there's just a lot of combustible elements. And you look at these two teams, I don't know if we look at what has happened with the way that they've made the playoffs. All right, you got to play within your division if you finish second and third, and trying to build these rivalries. And I know it's like made some people upset playing the Panthers again, playing the Maple Leafs again, right? It's like it's the same old rigmarole. And John Cooper said so as much last year. He's like, dude, we got to play these guys again. I think this sucks. But I think we look at it now and maybe it did work, right? Like it made, because I feel like it was such a, I wish the Lightning were the Panthers rival and back and forth. And people would say, well, Florida's got to win. Well, now they've won the last two cups.
Yeah.
It may have worked. Like nobody wants to say that because they don't want to admit that maybe they were wrong or maybe they jumped the gun. But I think maybe it did work, right? Maybe.
It's interesting to think about how the dynamics switched, where it used to be, oh my God, we have to play Toronto again, and we have to keep playing Toronto. And now it's the Panthers. And I will say, like, this last year, I think that's what I've heard the most from pretty much all the veteran guys. Obviously, the AHL guys, you know, they have a different perspective. Obviously, they're just trying to make the team. But with the guys from last year, they did not want any part of what happened. Like they are not happy with it. And I think it's really pushing them to just maybe be a little more aggressive in it. Not like it was just not good, not acceptable is what they've all been telling me. So I don't know. The Panthers are going to be interesting this year. I know we talked about it last year, so you never know what's going to happen, but you got to think back-to-back cups, obviously a lot of wear and tear, and the Barkov injury was so brutal. Awful. No Tkachuk. Like we'll see what happens with them this year, but I think as far as the Atlantic goes, like it's kind of wide open right now.
It's open. Yeah, that was going to be my next. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. That was going to be my next question. Is with Tkachuk and Barkov now out, Marner is no longer with the Maple Leafs now. He's with Vegas.
Yeah,
the teams that are like on knocking on the door. I mean, Montreal. Do they think that they can? Jump into the top three in the division? Does a team like Ottawa or Buffalo or Detroit right? I mean, what do you think about the division now with the Barkov injury? Because it's one thing to be without Tkachuk. They proved that they can do some damage, but he's such a huge part of what they do. But you could argue that one of, if not their most important player, is Barkov because of how good he is offensively, defensively. Does that make the Lightning the favorites, you think, in the division because of the injury?
I have to say, like, I've thought about this a lot. I will never count the Panthers out of anything. I think we've learned our lesson there. Like even last year, and they were a different team in the playoffs than they were in the regular season. However, obviously the rules are different. The LTIR rules have changed. Like things are different. They brought in Brad Marchand, who to me was a pivotal player. Like he arguably that was a difference maker right there. So but I never count them out. Who knows what they're going to do as far as Barkov being out. But I will say, like, this home opener against Ottawa, that's a big matchup. And I think Ottawa's a tough team. They're a physical team. And, you get a little taste of the playoffs. Like, I could see them having a really good season. And they have the other Tkachuk. So we know how that goes. But yeah, Ottawa, and I think Montreal, I liked what they did at the end of last season, and they've got a great coach. And I kind of felt like the team adopted Marty's personality, which is just like gritty. And, they're a team to watch for sure this season. I don't know what is going to happen with Toronto. I don't know how you make up for Mitch Marner's 100+ points. It doesn't seem like they really had a plan there for that, and not a lot of action this summer. So, to be determined on them. We'll see what happens. Other guys are going to have to step up for Toronto, but the Lightning are coming in with the same team pretty much that they had last year. And just in talking to the guys, that is a benefit for them. Just, the camaraderie that they built and the closeness, and then going through that experience at the end of the season together, it makes them want to win even more. So
yeah, I'm with you. And I look at this team and I look at this, matchup. Isn't it weird that you mentioned Marner? It's almost like Toronto just wanted to get past it. They didn't really care what happened. It's just it's like a breakup, right? I don't really care about going down and who gets the TV and who gets the knives and who gets all the stuff. Just take it. Just take it and leave. I just want to get out of this relationship. I don't really care about splitting things up evenly and you get this and I get that. Let's just go our separate ways and then we'll work on the other side, right? Well, then we'll work on ourselves, right? I feel like where Toronto's at. They didn't really care about working on themselves. They were just you just go, let's put this behind us. And I feel like he's the scapegoat for everything that's gone wrong for Toronto. Well, what happens if they don't get any better this year? What if they miss the playoffs, right? That was just such a funky relationship. They've always been on the search for finding somebody to blame for their shortcomings. And it's happened for 33, 50, almost 60 years now. And it's always one guy's fault. And I don't think whether it's fair or not, I mean, just, all right, that's just a crappy way to be able to look at it. Who's the player on the Tampa Bay Lightning that intrigues you the most as we inch closer to opening night?
Ooh, that's a great question. I don't know if it would be like one player, obviously, because it is the same. It's kind of the same group. I think like collectively, a lot of them are just, like I said, like when I talk to them, they're just not happy with what happened at the end of the season. I think Hagel and Cirelli made such a huge difference last year. And Brandon Hagel, to me, like he's kind of in his prime, and just seeing what he did last year, I know he wants to have that plus more this year. And last year was like, that was his big season, right? He worked with Cooch all summer. And, this year, I think he finally, like he found his voice as a leader. Obviously, we saw what he did at Four Nations playoffs. Like that sucked what happened. But again, I think I don't know if that's cliche to say because everybody wants to watch Brandon Hagel, but like that's a guy that I'm going to be watching because if he has another big year, like he's just going to keep going up. And again, like him as a leader, we saw it last year. It just changed, right? Like there was room for him to step up as a leader. So, and then obviously, like I want to see McDonough have the same year that he had last year because this is the last year on his contract, and we want to see him stay in Tampa. Like I think just overall, that's just a known fact. And he had such a great season last year. He really changed the defense, and I want to see him do it again.
Yeah, and I think with McDonough too, when you look at dealing with a guy like Julian Brisebois, he was very transparent. It's weird. The whole thing with Isaac Howard and Steven Stamkos and Killorn and Palat and now Ryan McDonough, it just seems like Julian's gotten to a point where he knows that even if he doesn't want a guy back or he's not sure, what he's learned is I got to communicate that with guys because we know that Stammer was not happy. You were there when he was like, yeah, I didn't talk to anybody. And he seemed really pissed off. I go, damn, man, like that's the captain of this team. Like the guys giving everything to our community, regardless of whether it's the right decision or not, whether it's, you bring him back or you think he's past his prime, like at least let the guy know, like you think he's earned that right, you would think. And I think that really pissed Stammer off and, ultimately did his, it was his demise, right? Did he do that with Isaac Howard? We don't know. You were there for the fireside chat when he brought up Isaac Howard's name. We didn't bring it up. He did. So it's like, oh, okay, he's going to be a part of this team possibly. And that went off the rails. So the discussion that he's had with Ryan McDonough, which is great that he said he had that and he's not 100% sure, but he's in his mid to late 30s. He played 82 games last year. Like, is that likely to happen again? Probably not, but you see the impact that he's had on this team. I mean, you've watched him. I mean, Ryan McDonough, he's an unbelievable game changer, and it's not just on the ice, right, D? I mean, you see him in the locker room, too. You can't replace that leadership, can you?
No, that's not a guy. And I think, like, we can look at when he was not here. Like, there are numbers to back it up. And then when he came back, obviously, like, it was night and day. And so a lot of that can be credited to Ryan McDonough. But it's like you said, like it's not even just on the ice, it's in the room. Like everybody you see, and I actually have seen it in training camp this year, which the Lightning training camp has been awesome. Like they did such a great job. Some of these young guys that are fighting for spots are they're fun to watch. But you see them coming up to McDonough, asking questions. A lot of the defensive guys, like just coming up, asking him for advice, asking him questions. I know, like just the way he communicates on the ice, and he's just, I don't even know how to, I mean, you can say it too, like there's no words for you just gotta experience it. McDonough he's a leader, and his heart, like coming back, I know it was so important for him to be back in Tampa. So I think maybe with Julian's conversation, I mean, we've learned, right? Like as players age, this is Julian's process, right? And he said it so many times. So even though we are surprised about McDonough, if you think about what Julian said over the years, aligns with what he said. Like the money is allocated to the younger players, and then with guys that are towards the end of their career, like he'll sit, reassess, and do his thing. So I think all of that, it's probably going to be like, is Ryan McDonough healthy? How many years does he want to play? Things like that. And then Julian will be able to, I think overall they'll get it done. But
yeah, and then also playing with the guy. I mean, you could see sometimes it's an intangible thing. Sometimes it's the entire defense, but you can look just at Eric Chernak himself and the way that he's played since Ryan McDonough came back, and it's almost night and day. And you just heard the different things with the group of what Ryan McDonough brings to the team on the ice and off the ice. He really helped out. He really helped last year.
Yeah.
When you lose like a guy like Steven Stamkos, and you have a new captain with Victor Hedman, like it's easy. The transition was easy. I don't want to say easy, but it's just easier when you have a guy like Victor Hedman, when you have a guy like Ryan McDonough to be able to kind of carry that leadership role. And Nikita Kucherov, what do you think Kuch is going to do this year? I mean, just such an incredible player, top 5 guy in points, and just a guy that keeps going out there and wows us, and really just he's playing a game on a completely different level. What are you looking for a guy like Kuch this year?
It's so funny because every time I talk to these young guys that are coming in here that are around Kuch, even if it's not the first time, even if it's not their first training camp, they all talk about watching Kuch do power play drills. Mm-hmm. And Ed and I were down at ice level the other day, and we were watching Kuch run the power play, and it's just like you almost forget until you're right there, right next to him, and how quick he is and what he sees. And I was kind of surprised to see him be so vocal at media day. We haven't, Kuch has been more open with us. I would say towards the end of last season, but to really see him talk about the power play and, what he hopes to see and what needs to change. I really appreciated that. And I think it's just kind of showing that, they want to make a change as far as what they do this year and how things work. And they're not going to accept anything less this season. So I'm sure Kuch will have a big year. But yeah, just watching him during training camp has been insane, because it's not like he's not treating it as anything less than, what it is.
There's
and
no slacking. Really there's no slacking with Kuch.
No, there's no slacking with Kuch. And I talked to Stahoviak and
oh, nice.
Yeah, which really interesting guy. I mean, I could absolutely see him being called up to Tampa. I could see that happening. Obviously he played pro, but
26.
He's a new guy. He's a new guy here. This is all new for him. But just the way he played on Saturday was awesome. And he talked about Kuch and some of the guys, and just watching them, run the power play and things like that. It's just, that's been the big topic of conversation during training camp this year.
D, before I let you go, I want to talk some football about your San Francisco 49ers. What do you think? 3-1?
Where do you want to go with this? Because
if you had to pick Mac Jones or Brock Purdy, who would you go with?
Why are we the number 1 injured team every year? That's what I want.
I think the Bucs might have something to say about that this year.
It's so but the Niners are consistent. Yeah, the Bucs, yes, but
I think they got you covered this year.
Consistently every year, the Niners. It's like I already knew Nick Bosa was going to get injured long before Nick Bosa got injured, because I have no words. And honestly, Brock Purdy came in, and I'm thinking in my head, listen, Mac Jones has won 2 games. Just let Brock Purdy rest, because he played injured. There was no need for that to happen. Mac Jones was winning, and they lost anyways. They brought Brock Purdy in early before he was healed, and they ended up losing, and now they have to play, the Rams on Thursday, and Juwan Jennings is injured. I mean, you name it. It's not good. It's not good. I don't know what to say. When you lose to the Chiefs twice in the Super Bowl for play calling, what are you going to do? I mean, that's where
then they play the Bucs next week.
I know.
Are you going to the game?
Probably, yes. I will probably go and suffer, because actually, I don't know what's going to happen, honestly, because the Bucs are really injured too. So
what made you become a 49ers fan? Everybody wants to know.
Are people asking? My dad's side of the family, and they actually still live in San Francisco. So
Mario Christian, she's a 49ers fan? Yes, she is. So say that again. Sorry.
My whole life, born and raised. my dad's side of the family, and my dad's side of family, they still live there in San Francisco. And my dad obviously was a huge Joe Montana fan.
Oh God.
Yeah. And then when I was born, he's like, this is my daughter and we're going to watch football together. So we watched football together, and so he raised me as a Niners fan, and like his side of the family is still over there. So my parents went to a game, was it last season? So my mom was born in Miami, so she's a Dolphins fan, which is more brutal than.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So that's how I'm a Niners fan.
David Terry wants to know, does Diandra think Dylan Duke is going to come up?
Ooh, that's a really good question. I don't want to say no per se, but I think there's other guys that I'm watching. I think Dylan Duke, we saw him obviously come up and score last season. I think we could see him maybe being called up a little bit if there's injuries and things like that. But I'm more so watching guys like Stahoviak and Jack Finley. Like Jack Finley he's been waiting in the wings. He's big. He's 6'6". I feel that they really like him. He's a big dude. So I know everyone loves Dylan Duke. I could see him maybe being called up, if there's a need. But as far as the guys that could maybe stay, I would say like a Jack Finley, and definitely Stahoviak. Like
I like him too.
He gives off lightning vibes to me. Saturday, I was like, I could see him playing in Tampa. Like, this is weird. I could definitely see this guy's brand new here, but he definitely made an impact. But yeah, those are the two that I'm watching.
It just looks like we're seeing a big time announcement in the hockey world with a guy like Kirill Kaprizov. I think I just saw something over $16 million. 8 years, over $16 million. I mean, that's great. You can get paid. But with that being said, even though the salary cap is going up, that's a lot of money to give one guy. On one team, and for a team that hasn't even made it to the Stanley Cup final. I get you got to pay your best players, but you also got to be very careful because that can handcuff you going forward, doesn't it?
Yeah, no, that's something I was actually going to go in and see like what their other guys are being paid, because one, that does kind of set the tone for some of the big stars, right? 16 mil. We'll see what Connor McDavid ends up signing for wherever I feel like Connor McDavid is not going to stay in Edmonton. I could be wrong, but just his own words have kind of made me think that he wants to leave. But yeah, big contract like that kind of sets the tone, and kind of made me think of like Cooch, what he has a couple years left on his contract. Yeah. Interested to see what guys sign for now that this one is out. But I think, you look at like the Panthers and the Lightning and, what they've done, what guys have signed for, and you want to have a good team. Like, you're not going to win if it's just you being paid, So we'll see what happens with that.
Do you let everybody know where they can read your stuff and where they can find you on socials?
Yes, you can find me, at the Hockey News, but my Twitter what is my Twitter? It's Diandra _Loux. Follow me there.
All the stuff on there. She crushes it for the Hockey News, part of our contingent for the Tampa Bay Lightning. Are you going to Orlando tonight?
I'm not. I'm probably going to go Thursday. I know.
Smart. Don't be driving on I-4 for a preseason game.
I know.
We love covering our team, but for stuff like this, like, you can just watch it at home.
My thought is that it's a long hockey season is a long season, and I know I'm going to be there every day. So for the foreseeable future, so I'm like, meh, I'll probably wait.
Smart one. Diandra Loux, follow her, Diandra _Loux. Check her out on the Hockey News as well. Dee, thank you so much for your time. See you at the arena very, very soon. And thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Jay.
You got it. Diandra Loux, the Hockey News, crushing it as always. Does such a great job of covering our Tampa Bay Lightning. The Bolts are a team that is, I think, a favorite now in the Atlantic Division. It's a disrespectful lineup for the Orlando fans who can't go to Tampa or Sunrise for an actual game. I don't know. What are you going to do, Nick? What are you going to do? They got to do what's best for their team. They can't really worry at this point about just having these top-tier guys there to satiate some of the fan base. They got to do what's best for their players and what's best for the team. Big thank you to Diandra Loux. She does a great job. So David Terry showing her some love. We're going to show some love to our partners here on the show. We'll start with our friends over at The Honest Hammer. Boom, 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 boom. There we go, guys. There we go. Look at my guys. Look at my guys. The Honest Hammer Custom Builders, 813-244-0956. Tell me you heard it right here on the J Recher podcast. They do a little bit of everything for you. Check out their services. You can see all the different things that they do, their portfolio, and what they are all about. They are just the best. Firefighters, military, police, and nurses all receive 5% discount for any projects with Honest Hammer Custom Builders, LLC. They're a licensed and insured Florida general contractor, CGC 153-1166. No project too big, no project too small. Family owned and operated. You got a plot of land, you're trying to build a new custom home, they can help you out. Bathroom, kitchen remodels, new and commercial constructions, interior and structural renovations, they can take care of you. Russ and his team, they're Tampa Bay sports fans just like yourself. And you want to be able to vibe and be able to discuss and to be able to trust a company when you're making such a big investment on your home. And that's why I tell people, Honest Hammer, that's where it's at. Honest Hammer Custom Builders, thehonesthammer@gmail.com. If you want to email them that way, you can go to their website, thehonesthammer.com. Again, 813-244-0956. Honest Hammer General Contractor Company, CGC 153-116. These are the type of companies that you want to invest in, that you want to work with, and what you want to support when you're talking about businesses here in the Tampa Bay area. Russ and the message that he's put today on social media, this is why you want to follow them. And just the way that you talk to people, just the way that you work with people, that was one of the things that impressed me most going over to the job site, is that it's a concerted group effort. It's not Russ walking around and barking at people and making. I just love the way that there was such a modicum of big time respect between Russ and all the guys that they're working together to be able to build this, a dream home for this family. I loved it, and it just made me so proud to know Russ and the folks at Honest Hammer and just consider them friends and partners here on the program. It made my heart really. It just made me feel good. 813-244-0956. Again, thehonesthammer.com, thehonesthammer@gmail.com. Tell them that you heard it right here. Get you a discount because you heard it right here on the J Recher podcast. They are not the only sponsors on our program. We also have Evra Health. Go check out their website here. If you're in the Pinellas area, even if you're not in the Pinellas area, and you can take it, there's 17 different locations in Pinellas. 17. Now, not only do they have the services where you can do all these different things, dental, women's health, chiropractic, all these different things, nutrition, pharmacy, there is also, when you look at it, EverHealth is helping people become the next generation, is helping people with their careers. And you could be, and I took the notes down here. I want to talk about it real quick. Hold on, it's on my phone. I went over there today and I was like, oh my God, this place is just fantastic. The EverHealth Institute, which is like a trade school where you can become a dental assistant and a medical assistant, behavioral health technician, a radiation technician, a pharmacy technician. You can go to school there for 6 to 8 months, and then you can achieve the career of your dreams. Again, there's 17 locations. It's a place that you want to go, not because you need to go. A lot of stuff with preventative medicine. They are so incredible when it comes to dealing with folks that are insured by Medicare and Medicaid. There's a sliding fee for the uninsured. There's no insurance that they don't take. I love them. And it's not, and I know some people look at it as like, oh, they deal with people that are uninsured. They take Medicare and Medicaid. And you may think in your head, oh, okay. That is something where it's just like this free clinic and it's not dirty, or it's dirty. And no, man, the cleanliness is incredible. What a place to go to. Maybe you're looking for something different. Maybe you need a change in your healthcare. Go to EverHealth, man. EverHealth is so awesome. And chatting with my buddy today, that's the CFO of the company, he gets all of his medical done there. He doesn't look at it as, oh, well, this is like a free clinic and everything's dirty. Bro, clean as a whistle. I love it. And I am switching everything and I'm going there for all of my medical needs. They do preventative care. I was just so impressed. everhealth.org. Check out all of the things that they do. If you're looking to change your career, if you're trying to schedule an appointment, again, go to everhealth.org. Give them a shout. Not feeling too good, they can help you out. 727-824-8181. And don't forget our EverHealth injury report every Thursday at 12:30. Dr. Rodriguez is going to join us here on the program. He is the best. I talked to him today. Man, I'll tell you what, that injury to Tyreek Hill was crazy. It was nuts. And we were talking about it a little bit today and how it reminded us of the injury to Chris Godwin. So, wow, don't miss that. Help set your fantasy football lineups. You're gambling or, you're trying to play some cheddar on some of these teams. You want to know what the injuries look like. He can take care of you. No doubt. Dr. Rodriguez, again, the Everett injury report, joining us every Thursday at 12:30 right here on the Recher podcast. So a big thank you to Honest Hammer. A big thank you to EverHealth as well for partnering up with me here on the Recher podcast. Again, follow me on all social media platforms, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, TikTok, Instagram. I am everywhere. Like and subscribe on YouTube as well. Guys, gals, if you're out there and you're watching on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, hit that like button. Kill that like button for me. Kill it. Kill that damn like button, whether you're watching on Facebook, YouTube, or Twitter/X. And let's get this thing rolling. Speaking of rolling, let's bring him in. T-Krez, the greatest lower third of all time for our guy T-Krez, Tom Krasniqi, Afternoon Drive, 95.3 WDAE and AM 620. Of course, he does the pre and post show on the program there on DAE for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. He's drinking his, what is that, muscle milk? What are you, a musclehead?
Yeah, I just got a workout done.
Look at this guy. There's,
protein shake,
Look at this. Yeah, come on, man. This is a muscle-bound freak out there. He's like Scott Steiner out there. He's got muscles upon muscles. How are you, buddy?
Big Papa Pump, buddy. Holler if you hear me, buddy.
Big Papa Pump. Is your hooker? Holler if you hear me. That was a guy. You want to talk about a guy that was juiced up. My God.
Dude, he was wild back in the day, wasn't he?
Unbelievable. He needs to play some defensive line or offensive line for the Buccaneers, man. I mean, I don't know. It's almost like Oprah Winfrey is out there handing out injuries to the Buccaneers, and you get an injury, and you get an injury, and you get an injury. Which injury, and I'm not talking about the ones that are done for the year, but which guy that's been banged up either in the last game or the game before, and we'll stay away from Mike Evans because I think we have an idea of, when he's going to return, but which guy that got banged up on Sunday or maybe before that are you most concerned going into the game Sunday against Seattle?
I think it's Loux Gedeke. And we know Cody Mauch is out for the season, but now that you got Tristan Wirfs back, I think the O-line needs to be fortified. And I think they kind of miss Loux Gedeke at times, especially during the Eagles game. And he's got the foot problem. I'm not sure when he's coming back, but he's a guy that I think the Buccaneers miss the most outside of Mike Evans. Yeah,
no doubt. I mean, you look at PFF and the four lowest graded offensive players were all on the offensive line. Tristan was actually number 2 highest behind Bucky Irving, but you look at how bad everybody else was. I mean, it happens. I'm sure a lot of people grade out that low when you go against Philadelphia, but they need to be a whole hell of a lot better against the Seattle Seahawks, no doubt. Baker Mayfield's another guy, and people are talking about his biceps injury. Do you think that is affecting him at all?
I think on certain throws on Sunday, I think the answer is yes. Obviously, he's going to deny it. And why would you even put that out there if you're Baker or the Buccaneers? Like, yeah, my bicep is bothering me, especially on throws down the field. Like the throw he made to Ibuka was just kind of fluttering up there. And the Bucs were very lucky that those 2 Eagles defenders, I still don't even know how they missed them. And then Ibuka had great concentration and it fell right into his arms and he ran for a touchdown. But I think it's something. It's not like a huge problem, but I definitely believe that it is hindering his ability to go down the field.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And they have to make sure that they are keeping him upright because, Tom, that's the one guy they can ill afford to lose. Like, with that being said, of all the injuries that they had, regardless of who else goes down, and it just seems like the walking wounded, the MASH unit, they can't lose Baker for any sustained period of time or this team's really going to be in trouble.
Well, that's why I said Loux Gedeke is the guy that they miss the most because, you look around the league and Lamar Jackson gets banged up because, the pocket is collapsing. Joe Burrow's out again for the Bengals. The Bengals have never been able to build up or build that offensive line in front of them. You saw Jake Browning running for his life last night as well. So it all starts up front, man. You don't have the horses up front, Jay, as you know, it's going to be a long day, especially against the good teams.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And if you make mistakes and you get behind the 8 ball, you're going to be able to come back against certain teams, but they dug themselves too deep of a hole to think that they were going to be able to come back and beat the Philadelphia Eagles. And I think Seattle's of that ilk too, of don't get behind, don't let their 12th man get into this and, to this headspace where like they're part of the game. You got to take them out of the game early. When you look at this team, I want to ask you about a specific player. Where are you at on Yaya Diaby? Because I feel like I'm in the minority when everybody's like, he does all this with pressures and blah, blah, blah. He was the lowest rated Buccaneer against the Philadelphia Eagles. The lowest by far. Defensively, offensively, it was the Yaya Diaby that was the lowest, I think, with a 38. Everybody keeps telling me about pressures, but he's got to get to the quarterback. He's got to be a guy that's going to be able to get there and, almost only counts in horseshoes and hand grenades, but it seems like he's another guy where we love his effort. He works hard. Well, shit, he's a professional athlete. Like, hopefully he works hard. Where are you at on Yaya Diaby? Do you think this is a guy that can kind of figure this out eventually and be a guy that can get 10, 12, 15 sacks, or is this just kind of what he is?
I'm conflicted on this because I thought the first couple of games he played really, really well. The last game, I barely noticed him out there, and obviously the PFF numbers obviously told that whole story. I think we're back, Jay, to the Todd Bowles blitzing defense from all different angles. And when I talked to Todd Bowles before the season, he said, look, I wanted to get Yaya Diaby. I wanted to be able to affect the quarterback with just rushing for and playing coverage on the back end. Ideally, that's the way you want to do it. But as you saw in the first couple of games, I don't think that pressure is getting there from the front four. Vita Vea was great with 2 sacks the second half on Sunday against the Eagles. But now we're back to the pressure packages where the blitzes are coming from every different angle, which is great. And if you can, get a quarterback that you can manipulate in that area, all the power to you. But, Jalen Hurts in the first half was 8 for 9 against the blitz. Now, the Bucs did a great job in the second half of that game, but now we're back into the same old bag of tricks with Todd Bowles devising all these pressure packages because guess what? The front four guys, that includes Yaya, that includes Hassan Reddick, by the way. Chris Braswell is a non-factor completely. So now we're falling into the same old kind of routine of the Bucs relying on their blitzes to get to the quarterback.
Yeah, that's rough because I know that was a point of contention where, hey, let's find a way to be able to get home with 4 so you're not risking everything and putting these guys in a position where maybe you're not accentuating their strengths. And especially you look at a guy like Jamel Dean, who I thought had a pretty good start to the season. Now it looks like he's going to be out. Who do you think has to step up now in that Buccaneers secondary to kind of offset, once again, Jamel Dean missing some time with an injury?
Yeah, stop me if you heard this before, right? Jamel Dean is out for a few weeks.
I know, gosh.
And Benjamin Morrison, who's been really good. I thought he was really good against A.J. Brown on Sunday, and then he hurt his hamstring again. I think Jacob Parrish, Jay, is really impressive to me, the 3rd-round pick out of Kansas State. He has proven that he's feisty enough to play on the outside. He's a good blitzer. The Bucs love him. He can play in a lot of different types of scenarios, whether it's blitzing or man coverage or in zone. So I think they trust him. He's a guy that's going to have to step forward opposite Zion McCollum because it certainly looks like Jamel Dean is going to be out for a certain period of time. And Benjamin Morrison with that hamstring, I think that's an injury that's probably going to sideline him too. I hope I'm wrong.
Yeah, I'm with you, man. It sucks because I was worried about Benjamin Morrison going into the season. It's hard enough to stay healthy in the National Football League, but when you go into the National Football League and people are already talking about your health, it's hard to think the guys get healthier because we know how it's at times, kind of like a war of attrition on how these guys can stay as healthy as possible. What do you make of the running game altogether? I mentioned this, and I had this conversation with Ian Bickles yesterday about Bucky Irving. Are you surprised at all that they're not incorporating a guy like Rachaad White and Sean Tucker more into the game?
I'm surprised that Sean Tucker hasn't been involved at all.
It's crazy, right?
Rachaad White does get his totes here and there, so they're leaning on him a little bit more. Sean Tucker, Jay, you and I were out there at training camp. This guy, when he gets the ball in his hands, he makes things happen. And I guess this is part of the maturation process of Josh Grizzard being a first-time play caller. There are 3 running backs. Bucky obviously is your most talented guy. You want to put him out there, although you don't want to run him into the ground. If you look at his touch total through the first 4 games, he's touched the ball more so than a lot of running backs in this league so far. So he's not the biggest guy. You want to be able to incorporate Rachaad White. I'm surprised that Sean Tucker hasn't gotten any run yet.
What grade would you give Josh Grizzard through 4 games?
I think he's done a good job for the most part. I'd probably give him a B.
Yeah.
The call that he had right at the end of the Jets game, there was a 0 blitz that the Jets ran, and he called that wide receiver screen. It was the perfect call to Sterling Shepard, gets down the field for 20 yards to set up the game-winning field goal. So I think there's a lot of good things that he's done so far. I'm seeing like the same kind of run plays, though, like that little counter play to the left side that he runs a lot, that they're kind of running that play over and over again. I think we need a little bit more variety, but I think now that Tristan Wirfs is back, he can open up the playbook a little bit more. But I think he's maturing and he's learning on the job, but he's got the talent around him.
I want to ask you about the Rays too. Stu Sternberg, his tenure is now over with Tampa Bay, and as he moves on, people are going to look back and it's a clouded legacy, right? When you compare it to what this team looked like before he got here, I think that's where he gets his flowers. That's where he gets a lot of applause for making sure this team found a way to stay in the hunt. He's put the people in the right spots, the Eric Neanders and Matt Silvermans and Brian Alds of the world. That is the positive. But you and I both know there is this underlying disconnect between this team and the community, and Stu is a big part of that. When you look back at his tenure with Tampa Bay and the Rays, so what things are going to stick out to you?
I think it's a mixed bag, and I think you just touched on it. I think the disconnect with the fan base was prevalent, especially when it came to, trading away star players. I think the Randy Arozarena trade broke a lot of Rays fans.
It did.
That was a guy that people loved, and I think the Rays were looking at it through the standpoint and the lens that this guy is represented by Scott Boras. They were going to have to pay him a ton of money. They were not in a position to do so because they were not in a new stadium. Even though they probably had some funds with which to do it, they decided to allocate those funds elsewhere. I think the way he handled the stadium situation was just awful, to be quite honest with you. And the disconnect not only came with the fans in the community, but also with our elected officials on both sides of the Bay. He alienated a lot of people, Jay, as you know. So as a pioneer, as much as he was a pioneer for the on-field product, and look, before he took control of the Rays, they were one of the laughing stocks, not just of baseball, of all of sports. So he completely turned them around. He rebranded them. They became a contender. They won a lot of games. They won 2 pennants. So that part of it you can't take away from. The opener strategy, the shifting, being able to hire, the right people and put them in those places and delegate the authority. And, the Rays also lost a lot of these executives. They went on to run some other teams like Chaim Bloom and, Andrew Friedman and James Click and so on and so forth down the line. So I think he did a lot of great things, but I think his legacy is going to be somewhat tarnished by the fact that he could not achieve what he said he was going to do. From day one, when he bought the team, Jay, he said, the Trop is inadequate. We need a new facility. He had 4 shots at it, and he went 0 for 4. That's his legacy, I think. Golden
sombrero for our guy when it comes to trying to get a new stadium. 2 more things I want to get from you before I let you go. Where are you at in the MLB playoffs? It starts today. We already got some action going on in Cleveland as the Guardians take on the Tigers. Who's the one team? It's 1-0 already, top of the first. Detroit with a 1-0 lead. Who you got? I mean, when you're looking at these teams, is it the Dodgers or is it the Field? Which team are you keeping a close eye on as we get deeper into the MLB postseason?
Jay, I'm really impressed with Seattle, and I think they're going to come out of the American League. Their starting rotation's outstanding. Cal Raleigh's had an historic year. I think he's the MVP. I know a lot of Yankee fans are not going to like that because Aaron Judge has been a great player. And by the way, Aaron Judge is under a lot of pressure. Yeah. I mean, regular season, tremendous. He's been an MVP. It kind of reminds me of Lamar Jackson. But when it comes to the postseason, he has yet to fill the bill. So I think he's going to be under a lot of pressure. I love Seattle. I love their lineup. They have a great mix of speed and power. Our guy, Randy Arozarena, was almost a 30-30 guy. Their starting rotation's outstanding. Their bullpen, I think, is good enough to get him there. And even though they lost Zach Wheeler, I'm picking the Phillies to come out of the National League. I think their pitching is great. I think the acquisition of Johan Duran has been outstanding. He's been great. He saved 16 games for them since they made the trade for him back in August the 1st or the 31st. But he's had 16 saves for them. So I think it's Seattle and Philadelphia in the World Series.
98-mile-an-hour sinker from this guy, Johan
Dude,
Duran.
that guy is just unbelievably filthy.
All right, before I let you go, I want to hear you go crazy. Talk to me about the Jets. Let's talk about these New York Jets. Aaron Glenn, same old Jets. And I said last week, I thought the Jets were in a better spot than the Giants, just because I felt, even though they lost the game to the Bucks, and yeah, I know the Bucks left their foot off the gas, but I thought Tyrod Taylor kind of kept them in it, right? I thought you go in there while Will McDonald makes a good play, and I go, okay, you lose, but if you can piggyback and say, hey, we went tooth and nail with a team that won the division last year. If you parlay that into a performance against the Dolphins where you can win that game on the road, okay, those are the minor little building blocks that you need for a young team that hasn't had success. And then 12 penalties last night, 14 overall, but 2 of them they declined. I mean, my gosh, it's 1 step forward, 6 steps back with this Jets team. There's still talent there. I mean, there is talent with some of these players, but man, what are your thoughts on Aaron Glenn and the Jets?
They embarrassed themselves last night.
They do.
I mean, you're on Monday Night Football. That is your most hated rival on the other side. A beatable team, a Dolphins team that couldn't beat anybody. The secondary is absolutely atrocious. And they lose Tyreek Hill to a horrific injury during the game. And you get buried by the Dolphins on national TV looking as bad as you did with all the penalties and the undisciplined play. Jay, nothing has changed. Nothing. The game last week against the Buccaneers, I've seen that same story, that same movie about 150,000 times over the course of my lifetime. It's happened so many freaking times where they're right there at the end, and then they find a way to blow it. This organization's going nowhere. Aaron Glenn has got a huge obstacle in front of him. He's got a long way to go to become a head coach. I'm not sure these guys even respect him at this point because they've looked about as bad as any team outside of the Titans in the NFL so far through the first 4 weeks. It's never going to change. I hate sports. I do. Because this is the kind of feeling that you have when you're trying to pour in your heart, your emotions, your feelings into an organization that has completely let you down over the course of 50 years. They haven't had anything to cheer about in 55, 56 years since Super Bowl III. I'm tired of it.
I'm with you, man. It's kind of crazy, isn't it? Like you look at some of these other teams and these franchises and they're good. And they find a way to win. They find a way to compete. And then you have teams like the Jets and you're just like, man, like how do you not find a John Harbaugh? How do you not find it? I just don't understand how teams, especially in the NFL, like how teams get it so wrong. It's one thing to get something wrong and get
because
it
of ownership.
wrong. It
starts at the top. And I wish Woody Johnson would sell this team because he's a lousy owner. Okay, go back to selling baby powder and diapers, dude. You are not an NFL owner. Sell the team to somebody who's going to be more passionate, more energetic, who's going to have a semblance of an idea of how to build a winner, because it ain't that guy. I can tell you that right now.
Yeah, I mean, they look at it more as a playground type of thing more than anything. Like, oh, this is my boy, and oh, this is my little baby, and I'm going to be able to do this and do that. And it's just not the way it goes, man. It's not the way it goes at all.
It's been a rough week, Jay. You know, the Mets at $340 million. You missed the playoffs. I mean, how in the world does that happen?
Before I let you go, Pete Alonso, what do you think about him coming to the race?
I mean, I can tell you that the Rays are not as high on Pete Alonso as some Rays fans are. I can tell you that. I think Jonathan Aranda is their first baseman, and then behind them is Xavier Isaac. So I just don't see that happening. I think that the Rays are not as high on Pete Alonso as a lot of fans are. Now, with new owners coming in, they might have a different perspective on things. But if the same guys are in charge, and Kevin Cash and Eric Neander, I just don't see that happening. I think what the Rays need to do is lock up Junior Caminero. You want to be accepting of the fan base. The one thing that we talked about with Stu, the disconnect, identify the one guy, the face of your franchise, lock him up, build around him. That's Junior Caminero. I think that is priority number one for new ownership.
Yeah, and if you want to go after a planned high school guy, to me, go get
Kyle
Kyle Tucker. Go get Kyle.
That's the guy, Jay.
That's to me.
I've
been saying that for months. Yeah,
$500 million. I'm not sure if the new owners are going to write that big of a check early on, but that would be the guy because the Rays need a power hitting corner outfielder. Voila, there's your guy right there, local kid.
And you know what? The Rays have always been so smart with how they've kind of gone about their business and operating in a different way. Defer some of this money. It worked for Shohei Ohtani. If you're a new owner and you're going to be committed for at least 10 years, find a way to defer some of this money. Move it out, break it out. And I mean, I find it so weird with the Rays sometimes how they're so innovative with certain things, whether it's the opener, whether it's the shift and all these different things and how to maximize their values and treating these players like assets instead of human beings. How come they haven't deferred money? We saw what Shohei Ohtani was able to do with deferring all that money with the Dodgers. And I'm not saying the Rays are ever going to have a big time payroll like that, but how do they not look at it and go, we're going to pay you 10, then 15, then 25? Because you know how it is now, Tom, like $30 million in 2025 is not going to be the same in 2035, right? So why haven't they been able to be on the forefront of those type of deals where they can defer money and move things around and play a little bit of the three-card money when it comes to contracts to help themselves?
It's a great point because the Rays have been a pioneer when it comes to certain things. They kind of revolutionized the game with the opener strategy and the shifts, and now they banned the shifts because of the Rays. The Rays were the ones who incorporated that. Now, there's a way to get a deal done there, and you touched on it. I mean, you have to project 3, 4, 5 years down the road. And 4 or 5 years down the road, you have a new stadium. You have added revenue streams coming in.
Right.
So if you were to approach a Kyle Tucker and say, okay, this is what a contract would look like, but you're going to get the bulk of it down the line, you know, he might be open to something like that. But if you're going to identify Junior Caminero and sign him to a long-term deal, that's probably going to cost you a couple of $100 million at least.
Right.
And then Kyle Tucker is going to be in the 450 to 500 million range. So I think that's how they might be looking at it. But I think if there's a will, there's a way. If these new owners want to come in and make a big splash, that's one way to do it. And there is a way to get that done because 4 or 5 years down the road, you're in a new ballpark. You're going to be making more money. The added revenue streams will be coming in. So I think if they want to be bold, man, that's the way to do it.
Well, if Tom and I were running the team, we've seen enough of our crappy teams over the years. Manchester United's worse than the Jets, so it's.
I don't think so.
I don't know, buddy. If we could be here all night, we'd probably both be wrong, or we'll both be right. We got to drink some bourbon and figure it all out. At T-Kraz on all social media platforms. Tom, who do we have coming up on the show today at 3?
We got nothing, buddy. We have Take It or Leave It and Fill in the Blank. We're on until 5 o'clock, and then it's Buccaneer Total Access with Todd Bowles. So 3 until 5 today. The 3 takeaways from the Bucs-Eagles game, and then we'll look forward to Sunday's game in Seattle, which is a very tough game. I don't think fans realize how tough that game's going to be on the road in a very hostile environment. Seattle's defense is playing really well, and then we have the Bucs injuries. So we'll get an update on that too from 3 until 5 on The Drive.
Always listen to Tom Krasniqi there, 95.3 WDAE and AM 620. Download that free iHeartRadio app on The Drive every day at 3 o'clock. Take it, all of Tom's Mets and Jets gear that he's accumulated over the years. Leave it, Chris Mathis, leave him outside. Oh, the key card doesn't work. Get him out of here. The one and only Tom Krasniqi. Tom, appreciate it, my brother. We'll talk to you again soon. Thank you for your time. You're the best.
Thanks, buddy. Always appreciate you, Jay.
You're the man. Thank you so much. See ya. T-Kraz, always crushing it. 3 o'clock on WDAE. He's the best. He is the man. And yeah, you know, when the Mets and Jets, they struggle, I think about Tom. I think about my mom's side of the family and my grandma. It's like, dude, as a sports fan, you go through a lot of stuff, man. You really do. And then you look in the mirror, you're like, what the hell am I doing? My dad did it at 40. He goes, why the hell am I getting so worked up? These guys don't even know who I am, but it's hard, man. You're a sports fan and you're such a little kid. And, you know, you use these sports memories to denote times in your life where you remember, I remember watching this here. I remember watching that. I remember Benny Agbayani. I remember Mo Lewis. I remember all these different times and games and everything and the oh so close And then you remember some of the bad things that have happened, and you remember the butt fumbles, and oh my gosh, you remember the things that just make you scratch your head and say, why the hell am I doing this? And we've all been there. We've all been there. And that's why when your team wins, man, you got to cherish the shit out of it, because you just don't know how often it's going to happen. So Tom Krasniqi always crushing it, and you feel his pain. Shout out to our guy Chan. How do you do, fellow kids? I'm doing great. Hope you are too. Thank you so much for the super chat. 1, 2, 5, 10, $20. That is right. Mario Aranda, in my opinion, is the younger, more diverse first baseman than Alonso. Yeah, I hear you. I don't know about y'all, but I can't wait to watch Yaya do nothing in Seattle. Hopefully, man, he's able to figure it out and to be able to get better. It's just, man, they need him. They need him to be able to get out there and do his thing. All right, let me see if there's anything. Hold on, y'all. All right. Yeah, nothing crazy, man. Just want to make sure before we sign off. 1-0 Detroit in the first inning, or second inning now. Check that out. The Minnesota Wild inked Kirill Kaprizov, largest contract in NHL history. Justin Poirier and Nate Diaz, watch out for that. Could be in the boxing room. The Guardians have added prospect Chase Lauder to their wild card roster. I mean, watch out for Cleveland. Cleveland and Detroit. Such a promising start to the season for the Detroit Tigers. It's gone downhill fast. TV Punk Films, I think a bigger concern that I have with the Rays is there are no top-level starting pitchers in the minors now. The last was Bradley, before that Shane. You're not wrong. You are certainly not wrong. Man, being a Jets fan is a real commitment. You probably have to go back to when George Washington was crossing the Hudson to remember the last time they were good. Richie P, you insulted them a little bit. Nah. You're not wrong, though, pal. All right, a big thank you to Tom Krasniqi and Diandra Loux for their help. Unbelievable job to both of those friends of the program. They are the best. Make sure you follow me on all social media platforms at Recher, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, TikTok, Instagram. Like and subscribe on YouTube. A big thank you to Honest Hammer Custom Builders and EverHealth, my tremendous partners here on the program. Tomorrow, Thursday, Friday, unbelievable shows to wrap up the rest of the week. We definitely have our EverHealth injury report with Dr. Rodriguez on Thursday at 12:30. Always a lot of fun there. Big thank you for the super chat, my guy Chan. You are the best. Thank you so much for the undying support. Continue to support. Share this on your social media platforms, guys. I could not do this without you. All right, it's going to wrap it up for me. I love you all again. Big thank you to Tom and Diandra for joining us on the program. We'll see you guys tomorrow at noon right here on the Recher Podcast. I am gone. Peace out.